All right, so we come to our next video in this series in college algebra. The last couple we have been talking about slope and slope-intercept form and point-slope form equations, and now we get to the topic of parallel and perpendicular lines, right? This always is usually thrown in at the same point because a lot of times, because parallel lines, it all has to deal. Parallel and perpendicular lines all have to deal with slope and that slope number. So parallel lines have slope is the same, okay, and then perpendicular lines, slope is the negative reciprocal. Okay, and you'll see an example of that here in a minute, right? So the first question that we have is find an equation that is parallel to the equation y equals 2x plus 3 at the point 1, 8. Okay, so what you do is you need to pull out your slope from this equation, right? You need to know what type of line that you're finding, and then you need to know your point. And then you also need to know, in our last video, I covered the point slope form. Remember, your point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, so I need a slope, which I'll pull out from this equation. I have my point, and then the parallel is going to tell me what I need to do to the slope, right? So because it's parallel, slope is the same, is equal, right? So my m is equal to 2, right? And my point is 1, 8. And so I'm going to take these values, just like in the last video, I'm going to take those values and I'm going to plug them into my point slope form. And then you can transform it. A lot of times they're going to ask you to put it into slope intercept form. So you kind of have to do a little bit of algebra, right? So you have y minus 8, right? Because this is my x1, y1. So y minus 8 equals my m, which is 2 because it is parallel, so it's the same. So 2 times x minus 1, right? Now you do a little bit of distributive property. So you have y minus 8 equals 2x minus 2. Remember, when you distribute, you multiply. And then you just have to add, right? And this is a lot easier than the last video because the last video had fractions. This one is, nice whole numbers, right? So you have y equals 2x plus 6, and that would be your answer. Okay, now find the equation that is perpendicular to the equation y equals 1/2 x plus 4 at the point 4, 5. Right, now it's perpendicular, and if you looked above, it said perpendicular lines have what's called the negative reciprocal. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, I pull out the slope, just like I did before. So I have 1/2. Now the negative reciprocal, what you do to find the reciprocal of this number, the reciprocal is you flip, this comes upstairs and this goes downstairs. So you flip the fraction, so it becomes 2/1. Right? Now it's the negative reciprocal, meaning if this is a positive number, it becomes negative. If it's negative, it becomes positive. Okay, so because this is a positive 1/2, the negative reciprocal would be negative 2/1. And that is my m. Okay, once I know that, I plug it, I use the exact same formula, the point slope form, right? M times x minus x1, right? So I have my point here, my slope here, and now I can go. So I say y minus 5 equals negative 2. I dropped the 1. You can do that because it's over 1. If it was like over another number, you'd have to, include the fraction. So negative 2 times x minus 4. What is going on with that? Here we go. So 4, okay? Distribute the negative 2. So you have y minus 5 equals negative 2x plus 8. And then if you add 5, right, you would get y equals negative 2x plus 13, right? And that would be your answer, okay? Now, The last one says find the equation of the line that is parallel to the following equation, right? So we know, okay, parallel, that means slope is the same, right? Now, if you look at this one, as opposed to the last two, you'll notice something's a little different, right? What they've done is they've put it in what's called standard form, right? And so what you have to do before you do anything else, before you pull out a slope and you plug it in, you plug it into point slope, is you have to convert this equation into a slope-intercept form equation, right? That's the only way you're going to be able to do this. So it's a little bit of algebra, which is kind of annoying. And I see those eye rolls, I know. So here we go. So 2x plus 4y equals 8. So first thing, remember, it's y equals mx plus b. So the y is left by itself on the left side. So I need to subtract 2x from both sides. So if I do that, I'm left with 4y equals negative 2x plus 8. I can't combine those because those are different like terms. Those are not like terms. So now I'm going to divide because I don't want 4y, I want just y. So I divide both sides by 4. And when I divide this right side by 4, I have to divide everything separately. So I have y equals, now negative 2 over 4 is negative 1/2. Simplify the fraction. And in another video, I'll show you how to use your calculator. If you're not really good at reducing fractions, there is a very handy tip in your calculator, how to get your calculator to simplify fractions pretty quick as long as you have a graphing calculator. So you have negative 1/2 x plus 2, right? Now this is I have my equation. Here's my point. My point is 4, 10, right? So now I can pull my slope. I know it's parallel. So there's my slope. So my m equals, I don't have to do anything or flip or change the sign or anything. My slope is negative 1/2 for my new line. So now I go to my point slope form. So I go y minus 10 equals my slope, which is negative 1/2 times x minus 4. Okay, distribute the negative 1/2. So y minus 10 equals negative 1/2 x. Now, negative 1/2 times negative 4 is positive 2. If you don't know how to do that, put it in the calculator, and there will be a video on how to do that here in a little bit. Right? So now you can add 10. If you add 10, so you have y equals negative 1/2 x plus 12, and that is your solution. I know it's a lot of work, but once you kind of work a couple of these, you can get pretty fast, and it really doesn't take you any time. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Please leave a comment if you need a comment, if you have a question, or you can email me. My email's in the description below. Thanks.